morning, Michigan. A very pleasant Wednesday to you. It's hump day all across the state of Michigan, and Michael Patrick Shields with you here on the radio stations you're listening to, including stations in Mount Pleasant, Petoskey, Traverse City, Hastings, Lansing, Saginaw, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Muskegon, and St. Joe, Benton Harbor. Very glad to have you with us this morning, and you're probably watching, if you're on television, on Fox 47. The news this morning that blood tests in drunken driving cases statewide are going to face more scrutiny now, according to experts, after a Mason County judge ruled that the state's crime lab test results, quote, are not reliable. In a ruling signed on Friday, 79th District Court Judge Peter Waddell refused to admit blood alcohol results in a drunken driving case. He said the crime lab that conducts the blood and other forensic tests in cases from around the state does not report an error rate or a margin of error along with the blood alcohol results. And police routinely report a single number for the blood alcohol content in drunk driving cases. On the other end of our line with reaction, Brian Morley, an attorney with Fraser, Trebilcock, Davis, and Dunlap, and he was a law enforcement official, an officer in the Flint area before that. Good morning, and thanks for being available.
Good morning, Michael Patrick.
Well, what do you think? Everybody says a blood test is so accurate, and the attorney in this case, who you probably know, Mike Nichols from East Lansing, says it's not that accurate. That's what the judge is ruling.
I don't know that we go quite that far. Blood is, as a general rule, more accurate than a breath test. I think what the judge is saying in this case is that the failure to report a variable on it makes it less scientifically accurate. So it's not that the blood test results are in and of themselves inaccurate. It's that from a scientific perspective, there has to be an error rate. That's the reason, for example, that the data master, which is, let me step back real quick, we have to appreciate that a lot of drunk driving cases don't involve a blood test. The blood test is most commonly when a person has refused the data master test. There are, of course, other situations, but that's probably the most common. On the data master, by way of example, which is what you blow into at the station if and when you get arrested for drunk driving, those have to be calibrated on a regular basis to ensure that there is a margin of error rate. It's similar to the margin error rate in a voting poll. Same concept. There needs to be a report of the margin of error in order to allow a defendant and a defense attorney to ensure that that is, in fact, a scientifically reliable number. Drunk driving tests are the one case in criminal system where you don't necessarily have an equal right to the evidence. You know, in any other case, I can look, as a defense attorney, I can look at the gun in a armed robbery case. I can't take the blood of a drunk driving defendant unless I, by chance, happen to be there. So you have to rely on the state's evidence. And in this case, I think the judge is saying that it's not scientifically reliable if there's not a margin of error rate reported.
Well, couldn't they just change the report now to include the margin of error?
You know, Michael Patrick, I'm not going to pretend like I'm a scientist, but I'm guessing that's what's going to happen. Our Michigan State Police Crime Lab is a very good crime lab, and I'm assuming, and this is probably a little bit more casual than I should say, but I'm imagining that our Michigan State Police Crime Lab is simply going to make the necessary amendments and move on.
That would then sometimes disqualify a case, I would think, right, if somebody's right on the margin of error?
That's exactly what it is, and I think Mr. Nichols hit on that. The issue would be, you know, we're .08 in Michigan. What if you're a .09 and there's an O2 variance? Does that make you 07? Although, and this is beyond our discussion, the law has changed over the years that a number in and of itself is not per se drunk driving. In other words, you or I could be arrested and convicted for drunk driving being under a .08. I think a bigger issue is going to become, and I think you saw it recently, the issues focusing on driving under the influence of drugs with medical marijuana laws and the proliferation of abusive prescription drugs. The crime lab is probably really going to get its hands full with that type of blood evidence. So it's going to be an ever-evolving. As a defense attorney, I respect what needs to be done and the evidence that we need to have. At the same time, Michigan State Police Crime Lab, like I said, is one of the better crime labs in the country. And I'm sure, I would imagine that this is going to be addressed.
All right, thank you very much, and for being available on short notice, too, this morning, too, Brian Morley. Travel safely.
Always.
He's an attorney with Fraser, Trebilcock, Davis, and Dunlap, and was out on the street. He was a policeman in the Flint area before that. How about some ice cream at breakfast time? Why not? Amanda Wall's having some this morning from the coffee house next door. That looks delicious, but not as delicious, I'm guessing, as the Hudsonville ice cream that Governor Snyder is going to taste today. He's going to be out there at 9:30 till 10 o'clock tasting 2 special flavors being made just for his visit in. Bruce Kratt, the Director of Sales and Marketing at Hudsonville Ice Cream, is on the other end of our line. Good morning to you.
Michael Patrick, thanks for having me.
I didn't know you could make special flavors just for someone when they're coming to visit. You can do that in the ice cream business?
Yes, we have a special batch freezer in our test kitchen that we can do a very, very small batch. So that's what we have up our sleeve today for the governor.
What will he taste? Can you reveal that, or is it a surprise for him?
It will be a surprise. We got to stay tight-lipped, but I can tell you that it will be very representative of his reinvention of Michigan challenge and the products that will go into that. The ice cream, the 2 flavors that we're making, will be very well represented throughout the whole state.
And then on the 17th, you're going to announce your new flavors for this spring and summer?
Correct.
I'll be curious to see what those are, too. Boy, that makes everybody... I remember one time I was on the radio, and Tim McGuire was listening, and we were talking about flavors of ice cream, and he got to me later. He was on his way to a business meeting in a suit and tie and everything in the morning, and he said, "Oh, you got me going so bad I had to pull over into a quality dairy and get some ice cream." People love it, especially at summertime. So you can go, and by the way, a Michigan business there making this fantastic ice cream in Hudsonville, you can go in the test kitchen and say, "Let's see what peppermint tastes like with a little bit of sea salt," or something like that, huh?
Absolutely. We've done some crazy stuff. We've done chocolate-covered chili peppers. We've done it all, and some of it is nasty, and we toss it out. But that's how you learn through trial and error. And we think we've got some great flavors to announce next week for this summer campaign.
Wow!
And we're really excited about it.
What's your best-selling ice cream at Hudsonville?
Well, you know, the best-selling ice cream for pretty much every ice cream company, as you might guess, is vanilla.
Really?
Yeah, you know, for the most part, every ice cream company, vanilla, French vanilla, butter pecan, mint chip. Those are the top-selling flavors all over the country. But, you know, where we then start differentiating ourselves is our number 5 selling flavor is Michigan Deer Tracks. Our number 6 selling flavor is Grand Traverse Bay Cherry Fudge. So you can see kind of a pattern.
Sure.
Our number 7 is Mackinac Island Fudge, and number 8 is Sleeping Bear Dunes Bear Hug. So we are well known and well tested for 85 years of being the Michigan ice cream company.
Let's talk tomorrow at the same time if we can and see how Governor Snyder liked his flavors. I'm very curious.
Wonderful.
And, you know, it's almost like every person has a flavor that would represent them, and it's kind of fun to talk about. So good luck with the governor today. Enjoy the ice cream, and we'll talk tomorrow morning.
Great. Thanks, Michael Patrick.
He's in Hudsonville with the Hudsonville Ice Cream Company, one of Michigan's proudest products.